Our meeting then.
Recording in progress.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Council meeting, July 7th, 2025. With that, if we could have roll call, please.
Luther, Crow,
Here.
Sutherland,
Here.
Yanko,
Here.
Pickard,
Here.
Schwebs,
Here.
Gantz,
Here.
Solberg, Brennan,
Here.
Erdman,
Here.
Sommerfeld.
Great. With that, if we could have the approval of minutes, if anybody would like to make a motion to approve last meeting's minutes, we can do so at this time. Rylan, go ahead, please.
I would make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting.
Thank you, Sydney.
I second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, thank you. Public comments. Public comments is a portion of our meeting where anybody can speak for 3 minutes or less on agenda items for the evening. So it is on our agenda. You're able to speak on it this evening. Please give us your name and your address and do sign in and make sure you push the button for the microphone at the podium. So at this time, then we will open up public comments.
Good evening. My name is Douglas Buck. I live at 1003 Oak Way in Madison. And I'm here this evening on behalf of Balloonist LLC in support of items 4E and F on your agenda, and I will remain in the audience when those come up if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Douglas.
Hi, my name is James Cameron. I live at 2723 Cherry Blossom Lane in Menomonie. I am representing Menomonie Alliance Church at 502 21st Street North, Street Inn, and also the Menomonie YMCA. Speaking in favor of agenda item 4G, the proposed ordinance rezoning from residential R1 to local commercial B2. And I will remain here as well and have representatives from the YMCA as well for any questions that may come up. Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you for being here, James. Microphone is open.
Hello, my name is Nicole Manson. I live at 309 12th Street, Menomonie, and I am a member of GROW, and I'm here to speak in favor of the formation of the Ad Hoc Housing Committee. I do want to point out that GROW has been working the last 15 months to research housing in Menomonie, and we have had meetings with City Council and staff, and we have met with renters, landlords, and other stakeholders in the community, and we have developed a proposal that we've wanted to present to the city. So we're here supporting the committee, and if anyone has any questions about that, I have more information for you. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Nicole. Appreciate you being here this evening. Again, the microphone is open. If anybody else would like to speak, now is your opportunity to do so.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to address the City Council today. My name is Zachary Lear, and I'm a resident of Menomonie at 2906 Edgewood Drive. As a resident of Menomonie, I'm optimistic about the motion 4B, the potential formation of the ad hoc committee to address housing challenges in the city. Housing in the city is becoming more and more unaffordable, with the quality of units remaining seemingly unchanged. And as a renter who would like to one day own their home, I worry about the availability of affordable units. Now, I hope the city will acknowledge the needs of renters and landowners by embracing immediate action to address these challenges. Thank you.
Thank you, Zachary. Anybody else for public comments?
Hello, my name is Ingmar. I live at 921 Main, and I'm here to speak in support of 4B. I think that there's been a lot of research and housing studies that have been done, and I think that the housing problem in Menomonie is very clear, as well as our county. And I think that we should focus on actually doing something about it instead of talking about how big of a problem it is. Yeah. And then on the rezoning of, I believe it's 4F, it's my opinion that the area around Eagle Ridge Road and 650th Avenue, from there to the Red Cedar should, instead of being zoned as a part of the city of Menomonie, it should be returned to Red Cedar because they don't receive city services in a comparable way to the rest of the city since they're in sort of an enclave. And I think it just makes sense to have the dividing line along the Red Cedar. That's all.
Thank you, Amar. Anybody else like to speak in public comments? Microphone is open. Last call for public comments. Okay, we'll close public comments and move on with the rest of our meeting. Under new business, 4A, proposed City of Menomonie nonprofit grant program, discussion and possible action. You know, we've spent a fair amount of time with subsidies and how do we allocate subsidies and that whole procedure of people coming in and requesting subsidies and the subsidy requests and so forth. And talking with Eric, our administrator, and looking at different ideas, kind of put together a new proposal. And I'll let Eric describe that and explain it to you. Eric?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So before you for consideration and discussion here today is a draft grant overview or application. This would be something that we would look at utilizing in lieu of doing our standard subsidy process, doing our regular budgeting, process, again, repeat myself, in the fall. So when we normally look at taking in subsidy requests or funds for other organizations, we send out an application and request the organizations to fill that information out in August. And then when we have our budgeting hearings here in October and November, have hearings to decide what, if anything, that you want to allocate to the different subsidies. And we've done that for quite a few years. One of the challenges that takes place during that time is we don't always have all the information in front of us as far as what kind of funds that we're going to receive, as well as just, you know, what kind of dollars that we can levy. The grant application here that's before you allows for us ahead of time to be able to identify what kind of dollars, if any, that you would like to allocate for potential subsidy requests. In the proposal that's in front of you here, and this is for nonprofits to receive funding that do not include funds that we normally issue through tax increment financing. So to kind of identify what that looks like, in the past, we've used tax increment financing from District to District 15 to help fund Downtown Menomonie LLC, as well as the Mabel Tainer Theater. So that's separate and part of a TID budgeting process. But this grant would look at replacing or suggested to replace the normal subsidy process where council could then allocate dollars, and then we would be able to assign that and develop the budget around said dollar amount that you allocate. Then the process would become, in the early part of the next year, organizations interested in applying for funds would then make an application to receive grant funds. And that application period would close at the end of February, and then those applications would come before the council no later than the second meeting in March to make a determination what, if anything, that you want to allocate. To be clear, too, organizations that have received tax increment financing funding would also be eligible to apply for this. So they could look for additional funding in that manner if they wanted to, or additional organizations that haven't received funding in the past certainly would be eligible to apply. What this does is it just gives us ability to be able to plan further ahead for budgeting. The dollar amount of $50,000, you might be wondering, well, where did that come from? That number is based upon the trend for the city council had established last fall, about looking at moving away from fully funding subsidies and cutting 25% per year. So taking 25% off of what we allocated out of our general tax levy last year, which was roughly $68,000. That would put us close to 50,000. It's about 51,000 and some odd change. I just put 50,000 as an as just a round number to start the conversation. Part of the application process, and similar to our subsidy process now, is that there is information asked about whether you've received funding in the past, and then what kind of measures you've taken as an organization to provide other revenue streams to make yourself sustainable and not be reliant upon city funding. One of the new pieces of the recommendation is that those organizations then that were awarded funds would then come back in December and then provide a report to the council to demonstrate what it is they did with the funds, and then also what have they done to become sustainable in the future? What are they looking for fundraising options? Did they seek grants? Whatever that may look like. But then you're getting a report back on what your return on investment is, since these are tax dollars that you're levying to give to other organizations. That's the big overview of this particular initiative.
Eric, well, that sounds great. And just for clarity and just for a common question in layman's terms, I understand we would have a number, a price point initially going into this so you could help establish the budget, because I know that's been a problem in the past where the budget's been already being put together, and then all of a sudden it's not 50,000, it's 65,000, or it's 80,000, or whatever it is. So this would help determine that number prior to establishing the budget. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then also another thing too, that if again in layman's terms, there'd be some qualifications that people would have to come forward with in order to get one of these grants. And there would also then be an expectation that they would give a report back on how they use the money or how they plan to get off the grant process in the future. Is that accurate too?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, so that kind of sums it up as far as, this particular program and this approach. A little bit of different approach, same end result, money going out to certain individuals that may have applied for subsidies in the past. But this has a little bit more refinement to it, and it also helps establish the budget at an earlier date, which has always been a problem. So with that, I'll open it up for discussion from council. Gretchen?
Well, so I like the concept. I'm trying to think of the practical application of it. So it sounds like the true grant activity window is kind of May to end of November, early December. Unless, is there an opportunity to have funds expended into the next calendar year, or are they limited to projects that are going to be completable in a 6-month time frame? And then that also knocks out any early, spring projects during the application and decision process.
I'll let Eric.
Sure. Well, you had a couple things to unpack there. So to put it simply, yes, it does narrow the window that activities can take place, because we would we would ask the council to make a decision, like I said, no later than the last meeting in March. We would anticipate then the awards could start being issued out in April, because we had already started receiving some of our tax funds for the city by that moment. And then they would have the time between the receiving the funds to the report back to the council to execute whatever project or initiative or event that may be taking place.
Any other questions for Eric or I? Ryland? Oh, Matt?
Yeah, I think this is a good compromise and a good process to go through and already have the budget set on that. With that said, as far as the amount goes, I think, you could add a little bit more into that, or could we add a little bit more into that and not use everything? And how would that affect the levy and the taxes on the people?
Well, and I think you brought up a good point. I think that you could set whatever dollar value you wanted to. It'd be better if that you set that dollar value and either we under expose that value and not go over a specific value. So for instance, if you set that value at $60,000 and we only gave out 40,000, then $20,000 would remain in the general fund type of thing. But we wouldn't want to set that value at say 60,000 and we give out 100,000 type thing. That would really not work well with this system. So you break up a good point, Matt, and I think it's good for discussion. Thank you. Anybody else? Oh, Sydney?
Yeah, I'm appreciative of the work you guys have put into this program. I think funding the subsidies is important, and I think this is a good workaround to what we're currently doing. I'm going to put the idea on the floor that we continue this discussion next meeting and we don't make a vote on it, just to give people some time and to talk to subsidies, kind of think of what they're thinking. I don't know. I just think this is a big decision to be introduced to and then vote on tonight.
Well, and that's all in fine, Sydney. I don't think we have to take action on it this evening, and we've got some time. But we did want to present it this evening for the discussion purposes for the council. With that being said, I do not have a problem on bringing it back. Go ahead, Lee.
Yeah, just for, I don't know if the new members realize, but Menomonie is a little bit unusual to be doing this. Most of the communities do not do subsidies to nonprofits. I have some problems with this, quite honestly. I kind of liked where we were going last fall when we were going to reduce it down to zero. So we're talking $50,000 is proposed in here right now, and we can go to 20,000. So we could do two 20,000s and one 10,000 and spend the money. Right now, I think I might be wrong, but we have roughly 16
Allocations.
nonprofits. I think that's pretty close.
Some of those are coming out of the district monies.
Well, then
but
subtract them. There's two anyway we can take off, so we're maybe at 14 or so. But how many more are going to be coming in? You start to divide these numbers by, into 50,000, you're starting to get down to pretty
slim.
Could be pretty minor gifting, and I agree we aren't going to do it tonight, but I think there's some real catches in this, and I appreciate the work that went into coming up with this, but I right at the moment, I still think we stick with what we did last fall.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, let's have a future discussion, and we've got a lot of business this evening to attend to. So we'll put this on a holding pattern until our next meeting or subsequent meeting coming up. And if you have any questions or suggestions, by all means, please give myself or Eric a call on that, and we'll take it up at a future meeting. So with that being said, we're going to move on to the next piece of business. That brings us down to 4B, the proposed creation of an ad hoc committee to discuss housing challenges in the city. Well, this is an interesting topic. I've been actually trying to figure out a good housing scenario for about 7 years now. Fortunately, the city does have a decent amount of money in reserve set aside, particularly only for housing, which does help a lot. However, I've been through, what do we do in Menomonie? Do we add more trailer courts? Do we add more single family housing? Do we add workforce housing? I got some really, really good pricing on building materials from some of the builders that said, yeah, we'll give you a discount rate and so forth and so on. However, the construction folks out there, by the time you really get done, you're still at, almost $200,000 for a small home. I don't think that's quite in the affordable range that we're looking for. So when Sydney called and asked if we could put this on the agenda tonight, I would say absolutely. I think that's a good discussion piece. And I talked to Cody as well and other members of the council. I think that having a ad hoc committee to study this and come up with maybe a brand new solution we haven't thought about has some merit. I've talked to the manager or mayors at Milwaukee and La Crosse and Madison and across Wisconsin in different scenarios. And they don't have the answers that we're looking for yet. So if we can come up with a solution that works for Menomonie, it could work for across the state. So I think at this time it's a good idea. That being said, I just want to err on the side of caution that when we form a ad hoc committee and we have 3 council members, Those meetings need to be posted. They're open meetings. We have to take minutes. It gets complicated. So whether we have 2 council members and we just have an informal and or come in and have monthly chats and bring your ideas in, or bring all council members in one at a time or whatever to chat it up with me and Dave and Eric and brainstorm ideas, or if we actually form a 3-person ad hoc committee. So I guess that's where I'm bringing it to the floor this evening to say, do we want to go through the extra money and posting and the extra efforts for a 3-person ad hoc committee that's consisting of city council members, or do we do 2, or do we just have it be known that we have an open forum for that information? Rylan.
I guess I'm a little unclear on what the benefit of a ad hoc committee
Mhm.
would be, because we already have a nonprofit organization that's here that has made recommendations, that there's
Sure.
a city council member or 2 that are on that.
Mhm.
That it seems like adding another committee to that seems like an inefficient route to go. So I'm wondering what the benefits to that would be.
Well, and I could probably touch on that a little bit. When I appreciate anybody putting input into this scenario. I mean, we have representatives from Grow here tonight, and they've got ideas and they've studied this, and I appreciate that very much. When we have individuals that are representing the city of Menomonie, we might send them on a field trip to go to La Crosse or Milwaukee or Madison to talk to certain people. We might send them to the Capitol to visit our senators or our assemblymen and so forth and so on. Or we might dig into it in a little bit of different fashion than we're used to. These are really working meetings. We would say, okay, whoever the representative is, this is the information you need to come back to the committee with. And then whatever that committee forms as information from Grow or information that they might come in from outside with, then that would get presented to us and we bring it back to a city council meeting. And then the city council takes a look at these different ideas, and that's where the decision making really stems from. It's more of an information gathering committee. But sometimes it's really helpful to have the people that want to dig in hard and spend the time. I'm just really want to emphasize that if we do a 3-person committee, we have to post it, and we have to keep minutes, and there's some staff time. Do you want to just speak on that a little bit, Ben?
That would be my recommendation. If it's 3 or more council members that are on the ad hoc committee, that we would go through the posting, take minutes, indicating what the mayor said. You just have potential issues with walking quorums, negative quorums, things along those lines. So I always err on the side of caution. And I would say 3 or more, we should be posting.
So, and I'm going to have Eric speak to this a little bit, because I know that he has an open desk and I have an open desk, that anybody at any time, please come in and share your ideas with us. Before Eric speaks, I'm going to call on Lee. Lee, go ahead, please.
Can there be a member of the public be the 3rd person?
It certainly could, yes.
The other thing I'm interested in, I know Cody is involved with this group. I'd like to know more what they're doing compared, you gave some detail what you see with this 3-person one, but not kind of Ryland saying, do we need a committee within a committee, or, I think we need a little bit more definition, and maybe this existing group needs some more power given by the council. I don't know. I think there's a lot of unknowns here right yet. I support it certainly, but I'm not ready to say this is the best plan.
Sure, I get it, Lee. And I have met with a couple of Grow people, and they are working hard, trying to come up with solutions. I think we may have a different vision that when you are serving in the mayor or administrator's position, we might see some things differently than an outside group, which can bring back information. But with that, Eric, if you can touch on this just for an instance, and then we're going to move this forward, or we're going to reschedule this. So, Eric. Oh, I'm sorry, Sydney, I didn't see your hand.
No, you're so good. So this committee was my idea. I brought it to Eric and David. So I kind of want to speak on its purpose. I don't think we need to do more information gathering or research. I think that's been pretty thorough in this community and honestly nationwide. I think we know everywhere, not just here in Menomonie, we have a housing issue. I think the purpose of the committee, at least what I was expecting for it, was we do have this housing fund and we keep kind of bringing up ideas and we do research and then it gets put in front of the committee. But I wanted to have a chair and then 3 alderperson a part of it to kind of brainstorm and work with the mayor and the city administrator in one area where we can solve this issue in a more efficient and quicker manner so that council members can talk back and forth, share ideas so that when we do have a proposed solution, because that's the goal of this committee, to come forward to the full council with a proposed solution, is that it's not just something that one council member worked on or we had to work through the grapevine and have Mayor Knack talk to each of us about our ideas. It's to speed up the process of hopeful solutions that will happen in 6 months of the sunset of this committee.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call on Eric because he has a good insight. We had a pretty lengthy discussion on this a couple of different times, and I think he has some information to share in regards to this committee as well. So, Eric?
Yeah, sure. So I think one of the advantages of having an ad hoc committee together too is it allows both the council members that are interested in diving deep into possible solutions to be able to talk openly in an open forum about it. Because we definitely do not want to be doing anything that gets us into a trouble where we might be looking at open meeting violations and those sorts of things. So we want to be able to err on the side of transparency. The other part of it too is if they are posted and as an ad hoc group, it does have the ability for public to attend and have a public comment section too. So it would give the ability for, if, let's say, members of GROW or people of the community that want to come to provide suggestions, much in the same manner that they do with providing a public comment here to the overall council, they can provide that information as well. And then hopefully we can come back with some solutions that the council can consider and hopefully take some action on.
I think you summed it up pretty well, David. Oh, Matt, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just a question, a comment, question being, do we want this to be an ad hoc group, or do we want this to be like a working committee like our other committees are? Or, and there's the comments that the Dunn County Economic Development Corporation got kind of everybody together, GROW and other organizations that are working on housing in the county to make sure we're not duplicating efforts. So is there any way that we can, plug into those organizations as well? Again, just to make sure we're not recreating the wheel, not duplicating efforts, and that we're all talking to each other.
Matthew, I think you bring up a good point. I know that I've been communicating with those individuals as well, and we do have a great economic development team with Adam, who was here this evening, and the Dunn County and the city and UW Stout has all been communicating with different ideas and different venues. So I know a lot of the discussion is out there. I just wonder if a ad hoc committee of council members wouldn't bring a little more meat to the table, a little bit more investigation and a little bit more vision, you might say, to where the city could go, because they would have direct connection with Eric and I and David. And sometimes, we put our heads together and maybe we'd hit on a brainstorm. I mean, I've investigated straw houses, small homes, domed houses, underground houses, apartment complexes that that you can have ownership in, all kinds of housing opportunities. But what's the best for Menomonie? And I think if we had a general feel of information that would come to a whole to actually have some public meetings and put these things together, it could work. So I'm not opposed to having an ad hoc committee. If we do this, I really want it to be an impactful thing, and I want to make progress. I don't want to have a meeting to have a meeting. That's my worst nightmare, is we're having a meeting to schedule another meeting. That's not what we want. We want a working group. The members are going to be dedicated individuals that are going to help solve what our situation is. And I strongly agree, affordable housing, especially workforce housing. When companies come to Menomonie and they want to set up a plant here in Menomonie, one of the first things they ask is, you know, what kind of workforce do we have and what kind of housing programs do we have? And I can sell them on our schools, I can sell them on our college, I can sell them on our tech schools, our water park, our parks, our airport, everything else. But when it comes to housing, it's a situation. So I support this. I guess I just need to know what direction. Do we want to post this for, have more discussion on it and bring it back to a meeting? Or do we want to put this into a discussion or a motion and bring it to the floor and see where the council feels on this? So Cody, go ahead, please.
I'm thinking that the ad hoc committee is probably the way to go. It kind of shows that Menomonie is taking the housing issue seriously. And then you have all the other benefits of like transparency and inviting the public and things like that with posting the actual meetings. And personally, I think it would be fantastic if we, passed a motion to create it tonight. I guess the main question would be then, membership, who is going to be on the committee and is, what other persons would be interested. I think that's the main question then.
Okay, well, and that being said, Eric and I have had a fair amount of discussion on this. I know a lot of you serve in a lot of capacities and a lot of committees and other things. The two I've spoke to the most on this recently has been Cody and Sydney. Jeff Luther also and Mary, I know I've had good conversations with them. So if it was up to me, I would invite the two newest members, or the newest member and Cody, to be a part of that team. I also would invite either Jeff Luther or Mary as a senior member, or any of you that would like to serve on this ad hoc committee as well. So I guess it's kind of, the floor is open for those that might want to serve in that capacity. But my recommendation would be to give the individuals the opportunity that have the most willingness to do so. And I think Cody and Sydney have that merit. So that being said, if somebody else would like to serve in that capacity, I did talk to Jeff Luther and he said he would. I've talked to Mary in the past, not recently, and she said she would if I ever needed her to also. So I guess if somebody else would like to serve in this committee, and if somebody wanted to make a motion, go ahead. Oh, Matthew, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'd be willing to serve on the committee as well, if need be.
So perhaps maybe what we could do is, if we had a motion on the floor and left it open for committee members, and then we just did a calling tree and found out who the most interested was, would that be a possibility? Eric, what are your thoughts on this?
I think you certainly could do it that way. There are probably some desire by alder persons to select tonight who would be on it. I would recommend 4 alder persons to be on there, not just because it gives a little bit wider breadth of representation of the council, but also in the event that there may be research that needs to be done, or contacting other organizations, GROW certainly being one of them, coordinating maybe with like the Dunn County Housing Action Team, gathering information from them. Certainly reaching out to Susan Badke that did a housing study for both the city of Menomonie as well as Dunn County. So having an additional person, I think, would be helpful. My recommendation would be to identify 4 tonight and move forward with that if the council is willing.
Okay, well, I'm going to take this one step. Oh, Gretchen, go ahead, please.
Oh, I just wanted to say, it sounds like the committee members that you mentioned, and with Matthew involved, that there is a good mix. I would appreciate being on the committee, but I do not have the capacity to do so at this time, partly because my ward probably has the most diverse housing situation across my ward. But I respect all the other committee members' capabilities to encompass the needs of my part of town. But I definitely want to make sure that in the committee, we have a mixture of folks that have, seen the transitions in Menomonie, been here longer, and it sounds like there's some that are homeowners, some that are renters. And I like that, to maintain that mix so that we can capture organically, just by experience, some of the issues that our town is dealing with, because we do have that huge diversity of housing situations in town. So sounds like it's going to work out.
Lee.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea you came up with 4 instead of 3, as long as we got to spend the money to post it, might as well have a 4th person. I think my suggestion would be, in addition to 2 folks across from me, would be Mary, since she is the council president, and Matt, because he's the one here that works for a large industry. So, he'd bring that to the committee.
Okay.
Because I'm sure, they may be having housing problems like, the rest of us don't quite realize.
Well, I'd like to follow up what Lee said, though. So with that being said, Sydney, would you be willing to serve on that committee?
Yes, I would be willing.
Cody, would you be willing to serve on that committee?
Yes.
Matt, would you be willing to serve on that committee?
Yes.
And I've already talked to Mary, and I know she would. So if that would be the four choices, then Sydney, did you have something else? If that would be the four choices that I would recommend to this board then, or this council, if somebody'd like to make a motion asserting that, we can do that at this time. Sydney.
Yes, I'd like to make the motion to approve the creation of an ad hoc housing committee to address affordability, availability, and quality of housing in the city of Menomonie. To appoint Cindy Brennan, Mary Solberg, Cody Jens, and Matt Crow to said committee, and to require the committee to report its recommendations to the city council no later than January 26, 2026.
Sounds like a viable motion. Rylan?
I would like to second the motion.
Very good. Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any additional discussion to the motion? All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. We're going to move on to the next piece of business, and that would be for C, vehicle purchase for fire department. I know Chief Class is here this evening if we need to ask him any questions. Otherwise, if anybody would like to make a motion to support this, we can do so at this time. Right, Lee?
Yeah, I'm not finding it here quick on my computer, info. I guess my one question I'd have to Denny is, this is not the low bid.
Dennis, Class, Fire Chief, the Lee Schweb's council member Schweb's had a question saying this identifies itself as not necessarily the lowest bid.
Correct, it is not. We are recommending the purchase of the Chevy from Kai's due to the upgraded trim package and the support that we've gotten from Kai's over the past several years for maintenance and assistance with other items. So.
Okay, service is a big thing, and without the service, the vehicle is just as good as it is. So, Rylan.
I had a question about that maintenance and service. Have you had any issues with having multiple different brands and dealerships that you have to deal with for service?
No, not typically.
So no advantage with sticking with, one particular brand or dealer?
No.
Okay.
Randy, did you have your hand up? If you can go for it.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the purchase of a Chevrolet 2026 Silverado 3500 heavy duty from Kai's Chevrolet for $50,419.50.
Okay, motion been made. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Oh, Matthew Crowe, thank you for the second. Any additional discussion? Roll call vote.
Crow,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Yanko,
Yes.
Pickard,
Yes.
Schwebs,
Yes.
Gantz,
Yes.
Solberg, Brennan,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld.
Yes.
Okay, that brings us down to 4D. Proposed development agreement for facade improvements with the Mabel Tainer Literacy Library and Education Society. I'm just going to turn this one over to Eric. Eric, if you can bring us up to speed.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So the Mabel Tainer has requested some development assistance and tax increment financing assistance through our facade improvement grant that we have through tax increment district number 15. They are working on a project to restore the stained glass windows on the west side facade of their building. And I looked at that and I thought, I'm in the wrong business. I need to be in historical building improvements because that is quite the quote. But anyway, the point is that they're looking to try to repair the windows there. There's a apparent weather damage to that area. We do have our executive director, Lucas Chase, that's in the audience that can speak more to the project. But in this, the Mabel Tainers already raised a considerable number of funds available to make improvements to the building. For our part, we have a facade improvement a facade improvement grant program within tax increment District 15 that allows for reimbursement of work that is done that fits within our project plan of the TID. It allows for reimbursement of to $20,000. And to get that reimbursement, they would have to expend $200,000 on a particular eligible project. In this case, the window restoration is looking around about $110,000, which then in reality would put the reimbursement of around $12,000. It's a project that fits within our project plan. The Mabel Tainer has shows that are present and help drive economy for our downtown by bringing people to restaurants and shops prior to programming and help enrich culture, which then meets the criteria for financing and economic development. It is recommended that the council approves this. The development agreement is before you, and our executive director is here who can speak more eloquently about the project than I can.
Okay, and I would like to have Lucas Chase come to the podium. If anybody would like to make a motion to waive the rules, we're going to do so at this time. Ryland.
Yeah, I would like to make a motion to waive the rules so that Lucas Chase may come and speak.
Thank you, Randy.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Hi, Lucas Chase. So tell us a little bit about this project. How many windows are going to be done? And are the other windows in poor shape as well? Are you doing the entire building or just those couple? Or what's your status?
Great question. We did have Conrad Schmidt, who's worked with the Mabel since 1890. They're actually formed the same year that the Mabel Tainer was formed. And we've always used them for our stained glass and stencil repair work. This is specific to the Andrew and Bertha Tainter stained glass window section. So it's 2 large windows and 3 smaller windows just above the large memorial stained glass windows. They are done by a gentleman named Augustus Hazel, who is the first African-American gentleman to work for Tiffany and Company. And you can see them right there on the screen. So this is just for those specific windows. We did have research done on the rest of the stained glass throughout the building, and those were all determined to be in good condition. Just this section of window here was in okay/poor condition.
Okay, interesting. Any questions for Lucas while we have him up there? Ryland.
Any records of when the last time these were repaired or had similar work done?
Yeah.
And did they give any estimate on how long this repair or refurbishment should last?
Sure. So the last time that these windows were restored were in 1958 when they did the first major restoration of the Mabel Tainter. The windows will be removed, taken to their studio down in Milwaukee, and they said about a 3 to 4 month time frame for completion.
Oh, it's interesting. So the materials, when they do these, is the material similar to, I mean, from 1890? I mean, do they still got a stockpile of the same kind of stuff or what?
So they will be reusing all the same glass, so they shouldn't be needing any new materials. It's just the leading between the glass chunks that need to be redone. There's bowing that's happening, and they're starting to cave in upon itself. And that's really just the weight of the glass, and glass being a liquid over time tends to, because of gravity.
Right, I know
create
how
that
gravity
bowing.
works. I've
Yeah.
been experiencing it myself on some of my windows. Cool. Any other questions for Lucas? Well, thank you for being here this evening, Mr.
Thank you very
Chase.
much for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, if anybody would like to support this with a motion, you can do so at this time. Abby.
I make a motion to approve the proposed development agreement with the Mabel Tainer Library and Library Educational Society, Mabel Tainer, and the City of Menomonie for improvements at 205 Main Street as presented.
Very good. Thank you, Gretchen.
I'll second Abigail's motion.
Motion been made and seconded. Any additional discussion? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Yanko,
Yes.
Pickard,
Yes.
Schweppes,
Yes.
Gentz,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld,
Yes.
Crow.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That brings us down to 4E, proposed ordinance 2025-04, an ordinance annexing certain lands along County Trunk B between 650th Avenue, also known as Eagle Point Road, and 690th Avenue from the town of Red Cedar, and establishing a temporary agricultural zoning. Discussion and possible referral to the Plan Commission. I'm going to refer this over to Eric, and then he's got questions for Dave that can give us clarity. Mr. Atkinson?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we have ourselves a petition from the landowners for temporary rezoning. And it also ties in with the annexation as well. So for this item and then the next agenda item. And this is necessary for considering possible development. I'm going to give it over to Dave to explain the process and why it would need to go to Planning Commission for this. And then where City Council will come into this back into the future, should you do motion it to go to Plan Commission.
So there, you'll note that there's two agenda items in regards to this property, although they're slightly different lands that are covered by this. The agenda item that's before you right now is to refer the proposed annexation to the Plan Commission for their determination on the appropriate temporary zoning. So our ordinances do not state what a annexation comes into the city as, so we have to refer that to the Plan Commission and then bring it back to this body. One of the things that we've talked over the years is maybe we update our ordinances to just say when annexations are proposed, and approved, they would come in as ag. We haven't done that yet, so this has to go to the Plan Commission before you take action on it. The proposed annexation is approximately 324 acres on the east side of County Highway B, well, predominantly on the east side of County Highway B from 650th, which is Eagle Point Road at the south, to 690th at the north. Those are the 650th and 690th. They're the town of Red Cedar names for those streets. You'll note, and I don't know if you'll be able to see my cursor here. This right here is Henderson's Excavating. This is where that you can go buy stone and mulch and that sort of a thing. Down at the south end is Hurlburt, and then the Ellsworth Creamery. So you can buy cheese down there. So that's the size of the proposed annexation. There is one parcel on the west side of County Highway B. Greg Quilling is included in the proposed annexation. But for including Greg on the proposed annexation, there would have been what's called a town island, which is not permissible. The developer that we'll be talking about in the next agenda item is not proposing to purchase the Greg Quilling property. So you'll note as we talk about the next agenda item, that is not included in the proposed rezoning that would come back before you again. So the motion that we're requesting at this time is to refer the temporary zoning classification within proposed ordinance 2025-04 to the Plan Commission for review and recommendation. That action does not approve the annexation. That action does not approve the rezone. That just refers it to the Plan Commission. Plan Commission would, if this is approved, would hear this on July 28th, and then it would come back before the City Council on August 4th for consideration. So just to be clear, that motion and approval of that motion does not approve the annexation.
Okay. Thank you, David, for clarification and explanation of this procedure. So, Matt Curl, you've got your hand up. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, if it's all right, I'm just going to make a motion to refer the temporary zoning classification within proposed ordinance 2025-04 to the Plan Commission for review and recommendation.
Okay, Ben, I'm going to ask for clarification. Is that a good motion?
That's a good motion.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, Lee.
Second the motion.
Motion been made and seconded. It opens it up for discussion. Any discussion on this? Regular. All in favor of said motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll pass that along to the Plan Commission. That brings us down to the next point of business. 4F, proposed ordinance 2025-05, an ordinance rezoning certain lands along County Trunk B between 650th Avenue, also known as Eagle Point Road, and 690th Avenue from agriculture to restricted industrial. Discussion on possible introduction and possible referral to the Plan Commission. So this would require an introduction and then also a motion to go to Plan Commission. That being said, I'll open it up for, Dave, do you want to explain any of this? Is this pretty self-explanatory? Microphone?
I'll jump in here. So this is, what's before you tonight is the introduction and the referral to Plan Commission of the proposed rezone. So as we talked about in the last agenda item, this proposed annexation would come in as agriculture. The developer is looking to build a data center on the property. The appropriate zoning for that type of use is I-1, restricted industrial. You may recall approximately a year and a half ago, we added data centers as an allowable use in the I-1 zone under the warehousing definition. So you'll note this property is slightly smaller than the one that I showed you in the previous. The Greg Quilling property, which is on the west side of County Highway B, is not included in this proposed rezone. They will remain ag until or unless they decide to do something else with the property. But the properties on the east side of County Highway B from Eagle Point Road, 650th Avenue to 690th Avenue are proposed to rezone from temporary ag to I-1. These two agenda items are kind of go with each other. Appreciate you approving the first agenda item. What we're looking for under this agenda item, there's two kind of steps. The first step is for someone to introduce proposed ordinance 2025-05. That does not require a vote. And then the second is to refer the proposed ordinance 2025-05 to the Plan Commission for review and recommendation. Again, this will go to the Plan Commission on July 28th, and then would come back before the council on August 4th for consideration.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schofield. That being said, then if we'll open up the floor that if anybody wanted to introduce this ordinance, you could do so at this time. Lee?
Yes, I'm not going to introduce it at this moment, but my feeling is when this comes back to this council to move this along, we need to know who this company is. There's probably data centers probably between Google and Amazon and a couple others. It's got to be one of those, I assume. But I think since we're voting on something that's just going to impact this community this much, it's only fair that we know who we're dealing with. And at least myself, if this comes back without being identified at that time, I'm going to vote no. So this little forewarning to Mr. Buck, at least this, from my feeling about, I'm not opposing this, but I think it's getting time that we know who it is.
Right, thank you, Lee. All right, again, go ahead.
I just want to piggyback off of that. I agree with Lee, and I would also propose and be interested in, if they don't want to announce who they are quite yet for business reasons, that they can put the city council under NDA, and we can make that decision for the community. But I do agree, we need to know, at least the people voting need to know who it is.
Okay, thank you. Abby?
I would like to say that I also agree. I think that the idea of having an NDA proposed so that the people who are voting on it are aware.
Thank you, Abby. I think that I have the same feelings, and I have some, we are going to do some diligence in the staff, myself and Eric and David are going to be out looking at data centers, and we're going to be talking to communities abroad and find out the ins and outs and what's really happening here and so forth and so on. But I think you made a great point, Lee, on knowing who it is. Go ahead, please.
I think the other thing we need to know is how much tax money are we getting from this? Previously, this was coming in, they get taxed with what's in the buildings.
Right.
Well, when Walmart was putting their multi-million dollars in to mechanize their business at the distribution center, we were all excited. Well, the state says you can't charge. This is the value of the building. No, not picking on data centers, but the pictures I've seen of them kind of look like the rental sheds that, I don't know what's the correct, the units, if you go south of town and see what Chad Cook has got, or down Squitzmeyer and see what his father-in-law, Roger Lee, has. Those aren't very attractive things, and I don't think they got a whole lot of value. But since this is also a warehouse, such as them, I'm really concerned that what the city is going to get back in taxes for what we're going to go through with this, if it's going to be really worth the city's while to be involved in it.
I have a lot of I'm going to save that, what I have my feelings for a future discussion, but I would agree with everything that you said in that. I have, like I say, we're going to do some diligence within the city to really look at data centers and what it brings to Menomonie, and we're going to try to get those numbers for you too, Lee. So thank you. Yes, Cody.
Maybe I missed something, but like, is there like a major reason why we're looking at this now before the annexation is considered by Plan Commission? Could we hold off on this until after, Plan Commission has a chance to discuss the annexation? And
Well, I'm going to give that opportunity to Ben and to David.
Yeah, so with this, they would be going concurrently on it. They kind of go hand in hand as part of the process with the annexation, and they're going through the process of the annexation along with the zoning change to get the project going. So they would go concurrently on it. The Plan Commission itself is just considering the zoning classification of the temporary portion and then the final one for the industrial. But that's the reason they're going concurrently on it. And David, if you have anything else you want to add on it.
Yeah, there is a public hearing requirement as well for the rezone. And so by going concurrently, we can get this all before the body and on August 4th. If we were to wait and not introduce the rezone, which is annexation without the rezone is not desirable to the developer because they can't do anything with the property at that point. We would be out into probably into October with that.
Okay, Sydney?
Yeah, I'm going to move this along, but I'm also, in addition to Lee's request for economic impacts, I'm also going to ask for a report on environmental impacts. And with that statement, I'm going to introduce the proposed ordinance 2020-25-06 and then refer proposed ordinance 2025-06 to the Plan Commission for review and recommendation.
That's not.
No, that's fine. That would
work.
So she did the introduction and then I can take your second portion of that as a motion to refer it, correct?
Okay, so we tied them both together then. Very good. Okay, so that being said, we are pulling F and G into the same motion. So then, no?
G is something else.
That's a different, just.
Yep.
She said 2506. She meant 2025-05.
I can re-say it.
It's okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
We know it's 05, right? Is that what it is?
Yes, it is 05.
Okay, so it's 05.
I
with
make the motion and it's 05.
And it's the introduction and refer to Plan Commission. Very good. Okay, now we're on the same page. Gretchen?
I'll second that referral motion.
Okay, so it's,
To refer.
yeah, refer to Plan Commission. Right. So what we have on the floor now is Sydney has introduced this and then also made the motion to refer it to Plan Commission, which Gretchen now has seconded. So that being said, any other discussion on this, Rylan?
Just a question for clarification. This potential property purchaser has not asked for any TID funds or city funds, or we're not financing this. This is just a rezoning.
Correct. And this would not be the time for that. David, do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, at this point, this is just annexation and rezone. We don't feel it's appropriate to be discussing TID funds on a property that's not in the city nor in a TID. There will be discussions, I'm sure, at a later date about potentially creating a TID and a development agreement to include some TID incentives based on the increment that is created by the developer. But what's before you tonight is just the introduction and the referral to Plan Commission.
Any other discussion pieces on this item? I guess it's just referral to Plan Commission then. So with that being the case, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on. Moving on to 4G, proposed ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance rezoning certain lands along 21st Street Northeast and 7th Avenue Northeast, Menomonie Alliance Church from single-family residential R1 to local commercial B2. Discussion possible introduction and possible referral to Plan Commission. This is the old Alliance Church land or area. And I think, if my memory serves me right, they're looking at the possibility of putting in a daycare center there. which would have to fall into a different zone. So that being said, David, do you want to elaborate on that, please?
Yes, so this is the Menomonie Alliance Church. I believe they operated a school in this property for about approximately 25 years. I know a number of students in my class were students there. I grew up nearby here. It is currently zoned R1. That allows for parochial schools. It allows for churches. It does not allow for commercial daycares. So my understanding is that the YMCA is looking to lease a portion of the building or all of the building. I'm not exactly sure, but they're intending on opening a daycare in that facility. So they've asked for rezone to B2. As with the prior, I should probably maybe look at the map here. So if you can imagine where the hospital is, this is directly north of the hospital on 21st Street Northeast, just before you go down to the hill to the Point Comfort Park. It's approximately, I believe it's a little over 7 acres is the entire property. Includes the 2 large parcels that where the parking lots, the building sit, and then there are 3 single-family size lots to the north. Right now, I think they don't house so many houses as fire pits. So the intended use is as a daycare. This, again, similar to the previous item, would be what we would ask is an introduction of proposed ordinance 2025-06, and then to refer ordinance 2025-06 to the Plan Commission for review and recommendation. As with the prior items, this would come to the Plan Commission on July 28th, and then back to the City Council on August 4th. There will be a public hearing on, if this is approved, there'll be a public hearing on August 4th. Every property owner within 350 feet will be notified of the public hearing of the proposal and the public hearing, and will be asked if they have comments to share with the council to come on in and share those at the start of the meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Schofield. Gretchen?
Well, I had a couple questions. There was a daycare on that site for a few years, but it wasn't operating as a commercial daycare. What is the difference between the way it was operating before and currently?
If it was strictly a church daycare there, and we do have a couple of those.
Well, it was Little Sprouts. My
Then I
son
would-
was there.
Yeah, I would argue it was outside of the.
Thought so. Okay. Wasn't aware of that at the time. And also I wanted to bring up the fact that we are looking at housing issues. And granted, single family might not be our best option, but I'm a little worried about the reduction in town residential lots when we're talking about housing as a consequence. Of course, it's got the competing issue of daycare establishments are also a major need in town. So we're I just wanted to bring that to the front while we're discussing this.
Okay, good discussion item. I don't have any topic for that, but I know that, like you say, daycare is really important, and it's kind of set up for it right now with the, everything that's in the building. So go ahead, Cody.
Yeah, I share some of those concerns about housing and childcare. I'm also a little bit worried about just putting a bunch of commercial in the middle of residential. But I think for the sake of hearing them out and just kind of moving this along, I'll introduce the ordinance 2025-06. And then I'll move to refer ordinance 2025-06 to the Plan Commission for review and recommendation.
Very good. Ben, good motion. Thank you. And we need a second on that. Abby?
I second Cody's motion.
Motion been made and seconded to refer this to Plan Commission, and it's been introduced by Cody Gentz. That being said, any other discussion on this? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving forward to 4H special events request. We have a couple of them. National Night Out at Wilson Park, August 5th, 2025, and Praise in the Park, Wilson Park, September 20th on 2025. If anybody would like to support these special events, you could do so at this time with a motion. Sydney.
I'll make the motion to approve the special events permits for National Night Out event in Wilson Park on August 5th, 2025, and Praise in the Park in Wilson Park on September 20th, 2025, contingent upon receipt of proof of insurance as presented.
That's a good motion. Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Abby,
I'll second Sydney's motion.
motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We get down to 4I, mayoral appointments to boards and commissions, discussion possible action. The library board, Dale Mandelson, reappointment to June 2028, and Brian Sequin, reappointment again to June 2028. These folks are already on the board, library board. They've done a great job, so I would support them as a reappointment. So if anybody would like to support this with a motion, you can do so at this time. Abby.
I move to approve the mayoral appointment of Dale Mendelson and Brian Seguin to the library board as presented.
Thank you. Good motion. Is there a second to that motion? Gretchen.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Budget transfers, do you want to talk about it? Okay, we have a budget transfer this evening, and I'm going to introduce Eric Atkinson to bring us up to speed. Eric.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So we do have one budget transfer that's in front of you today. It is from the fire department that is requesting the amount of $5,600 to be pulled from contingency in place in their contractual repairs and services. They do need to make they need to have an installation of a mini split unit for their server and radio room in the basement of Fire Station 1. So a mini split unit will provide cooling for that particular room. So that way it doesn't get overheated and then cause disruption in our radio equipment. Chief is here on hand to talk more specifically about that. If you do have questions, one of the concerns that we have is if we do not put that mini split unit in there, it'll overheat and then essentially wreck our radio equipment in there, disabling our ability to communicate effectively. And the cost of replacing radio equipment, good Lord, it is exponentially expensive. We have Chief Class here is in the audience, can talk a little bit about that project. It's been something he's been working on for some time. This particular budget transfer request is a result of that work.
Thank you, Eric. And if I remember right, too, in this conversation, this is the least expensive way to manage the temperature control in that particular room in that facility. Lee.
Yeah, I'd like to make the motion to approve the budget transfer as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Rylan.
Yeah, I'd second Lee's motion.
Motion been made and seconded. Any additional discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Yanko,
Yes.
Pickard,
Yes.
Schweppes,
Yes.
Gantz,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Sutherland.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good. Moves us down to mayor's report. I'm just going to be really brief tonight. We had a really warm 4th of July, but it was a successful 4th of July. It was not raining. It was a dry day. It was a good turnout for the pickleball tournament, the ball games, and the music at the Wakanda Park was exceptional, and we had a good crowd down there, and it was just fun by everybody. And I had a lot of positive feedback by having the fireworks and the festivities again down at Wakanda Park. So hopefully the folks that were in charge of that this year had a good event and will again be willing to do it again for next year. Hats off to John Menz and his team for heading that up. So thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to open it up to communications, and I'm going to start with Eric. Go ahead.
I don't have any other updates.
Good. I mean, thank you.
It's understood. It's understood.
Kate.
No, nothing tonight, sir.
Okay. Lee. No? Cody?
I just want to say that I'm excited for this housing ad hoc committee. I think it's a great idea, and we'll have to see what happens.
Sounds good, Cody. Sydney? Okay, ditto, huh? Go ahead, Ryland. Randy?
Point Comfort Park got hit pretty hard with the storm. And the street or the city people were down cleaning it up today, and they did a nice job.
That's good to know. Yes. Ben, I know you have something you want to
Yeah, I
say.
was just going to say on the ad hoc committee, just make sure prior to meeting, as soon as you know a date that you're planning on doing it, to please let the mayor and Eric know so we can just get the stuff properly posted and kind of let us know what you're planning on talking about so we can get it put on the agenda.
Right.
Thank you.
Maybe we can just have a formation, a small talk after this meeting tonight, just to talk about dates is all. And we'll move forward. So Gretchen?
Is there an update on the Fifth Street culvert situation and how's it rolling?
Yeah, well, your question reminds me of what I wanted to say. So I'm glad that everyone enjoyed their 4th of July. Our crews did not. In some ways, we had quite a bit of rain on Thursday night. I've seen everything between 3 and 5 inches. We have water in the basement here at City Hall. We had, I don't know how many hundreds of trees down, a lot of them on streets, obviously a lot of them in private areas. We had a water main break on 5th Street West that is now back open for traffic. Point Comfort was closed on July 4th, which I'm sure there were some people that would have liked to watch the fireworks there. We have an excellent crew. We had, I think, about 10 people that spent their July 4th working on water mains and herding elk back into pens and all sorts of things that were incredibly less fun than sparklers and music. So I just wanted to say to my staff that spent some hard hours on Friday, appreciate it. We're trying to get the road. The road is back open on gravel. We'll try to get that paved as soon as we can.
Thank you, Mr. Schofield. Zariah?
Hello, I just wanted to say that I will be taking photos of folks tonight that I haven't already. City council members to have those photos posted on the city's website to help residents identify their elected officials. I still need to get one of Eric, Lee, and Ryland, along with Matthew, who is not here, will not be taking it on Zoom. And then some others as well over the next month or so. So thank you. If you could meet me over here tonight.
Thank you, Zariah. Kevin, do you have anything to report engineering-wise for the city? Okay, thank you. Just for clarification too, actually, Eric's going to coordinate a time when we can get together so we don't violate our open meeting laws. So sorry about that. Other than that, we're going to keep this meeting moving with next piece of business. Under claims, if we want to pay the bills, we'll have to make a motion to do so. So that being said, if anybody would like to make that motion, open the floor at this time. Ryland.
Yeah, I would make a motion to pay the claims list as presented.
Thank you. Sydney?
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Pickard,
Yes.
Schweppes,
Yes.
Gentz,
Yes.
Brennan,
Yes.
Erdman,
Yes.
Sommerfeld,
Yes.
Crow,
Yes.
Sutherland,
Yes.
Yanko.
Yes.
Thank you. That moves us down to licenses. 9A, the normal license list. If anybody would like to support this with a motion, you can do so at this time. Sydney.
I'll make the motion to approve the normal license list as presented.
Thank you. Cody.
I'll second that motion.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Brings us down to 9B, the 2025-26 license renewal list. If anybody would like to make a motion to support this, Abby, go ahead, please.
I make a motion to approve the 2025-2026 license renewal list as presented.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Right, go ahead, Eric.
I'll second the motion.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Brings us down to 9C, consideration of Class A beer license application for Synergy Community Cooperative located at 2100 County Road B in Menomonie, Senex exit 45, basically. That being said, if anybody would like to support this with a motion, you can do so at this time. Abby.
I make a motion to approve the Class A beer license application for Synergy Community Cooperative located at 2100 County Highway B, Menomonie Senex exit 45.
Okay, thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Eric.
I'll second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Ryland.
Just a question about clarification on this. My understanding is that basically the restaurant there is surrendering their liquor license, but the gas station part of it wants to do retail sales, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. The restaurant portion did not do a renewal request. So basically they forfeit their license, surrendered it back to the city on it. And you are correct. The gas station portion is what it wants to do for off-sale consumption. or off-site consumption.
There you go. Offside. Thank you. Okay, motion been made and seconded. Any additional discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. It moves us down to 9D, consideration of Class A liquor cider only license application for Synergy Community Cooperative located at 2100 County Road B, Menomonie Exit 45. Again, if anybody would like to make a motion to support this, it can do so at this time. Abby,
I make a motion to approve the Class A liquor cider only license application for Synergy Community Cooperative located at 2100 County Highway B, Menomonie Senex Exit 45.
okay, good motion. Is there a second to that motion? Eric. Motion been made and seconded. Any additional discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Brings it down to adjournment. If anybody would like to make a motion to adjourn. Cody.
I'll move to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Is there a second to that motion? Abby?
I second.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you, everybody. Had a great meeting. Thank you, audience. Appreciate you being here this evening.